Whoa, breaking news yesterday happened, Will.
Breaking news yesterday.
The news broke yesterday, and we are here to talk about it today.
Yep.
I'm Brandon Perna here with Will Keys, the first.
With the blanket.
Yeah. Okay, so the Broncos, they signed Frank Clark yesterday, and it really came out of nowhere.
They did.
And I saw that, and I had time, so I got a video up right away on That's Good Sports YouTube channel. I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of a big deal, signing Frank Clark right now for many reasons, and nobody gave a shit. I thought people would be interested in the story, or that Broncos fans might be excited about it. But literally, worst performing video in since all year. And
jeez,
I was just a little surprised. I don't really give a shit that it tanked, because we put up a better video earlier in the day about every team's best and worst offseason move. But I don't know. I thought more people would be interested in Denver signing Frank Clark, and I think I overestimated how much people care about that move at this point in June.
I mean, I think people care. Sometimes it's tricky when it's the only bit of news that comes out on a given day, just because so many other people are covering it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I do think it is, like you said, it was very surprising. When you texted me, I was like, Frank Clark? Really?
Yeah, your reaction was funny. Well, what the fuck did you say? Let me see. You said, oh, neat, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of how I feel about it. Like, I don't know. He's a Chief to me.
Yeah.
He's a good player. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler, all with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And he is a member of their 2 Super Bowl victories. The key member, too.
So he's yeah, I mean, he's brought pain to Broncos fans.
Yep.
Not so much specifically against Denver, but
no.
I remember what's that?
Other guys did that.
Yeah, other guys were the problems. Travis Kelce,
Willie Gay,
Jarek
McKinnon.
Yes, to name a few. Patrick Mahomes' first ever left-handed pass. But
yeah, sorry, Steve.
I remember when the Broncos signed Neil Smith away from the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I was thrilled. This is that's when I was really starting to get into following some of the news bits around the Broncos, and I had to be 12 or 13 at the time. But Neil Smith, I was like, oh yes, that's a really good player, defensive line area, coming over from the enemy, and it obviously worked out for Neil Smith.
Yeah, it did.
The difference, though, and Frank Clark can be, that impactful, but I talked about in the video, I've always had mixed feelings about Frank Clark because of the domestic violence thing from Michigan, and I don't really want to get into that today because I covered it in yesterday's video, but I've always found him kind of an interesting character, but also just hard to root for outside of playing for the wrong teams.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of impact for the Broncos, I don't know what to make of it in terms of how much he's going to contribute on the field during the regular season, because the knock on him has been he's a guy who kind of takes time off as a player. I guess almost like a Randy Moss, where it was if the ball wasn't going to him, he wasn't putting up the effort, right? But he's been phenomenal in the postseason. And the
Yeah,
running joke is, yeah, the fucking Broncos will never be in the postseason, so this was a waste of a signing.
yeah, but really good job, guys. Good
Got
job
it.
with that one.
Got it. But it definitely addresses what I thought, and I think what you thought is the biggest concern on defense.
Yeah,
And then, of course, we had the Baron Browning news. He had to get a knee scope, and it might be a little more extensive than they initially thought. So it's like, is he going to be ready for training camp? Is Browning going to be ready in the preseason, or is it going to be kind of like a question mark to start the season? So I think that's why Frank Clark was signed yesterday.
yeah. No, I don't think the timing is much of a coincidence at all. We should mention that. So he's 30 years old. They gave him $7.5 million with $5.5 million guaranteed. And like you said, like he is a solid regular season player, above average, and really good in the postseason. I think he's got like a full season's worth of postseason games, 17 games, 13 and a half sacks. Had a sack in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. That Texans comeback, I think he had 3 sacks in that game. So he's kind of like Jimmy Butler a little bit.
Oh, a little.
To
Once the game
tie
counts,
things
he's
together.
ready to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my initial like reaction was, this is very good for an area we needed somebody else. It's I think like probably one of the best players available for what the Broncos needed.
Yeah.
And that's whether they're going to use Frank Clark kind of as like a third down specialist, or if Browning and or Randy Greggory are missing time and he's your every down edge rusher, because they really didn't draft that position, right? And that was kind of the things from the draft. We're like, oh, it was interesting. They didn't kind of look at that position, but it makes them better in an area that I thought the Broncos could get kind of like pedestrian to just bad at very quickly. So that part of it's nice. And then I think, like, if we're going to talk about kind of like maybe he's a guy who only shows up for certain situations, certain games, I bet 2 games a year against Kansas City he shows up for.
I mean, if you had to pick the 2 games out of 17, I'd be happy with those. No, I think that's a good point you made about not drafting anybody, and we were all concerned, I think, when that happened, especially, and they did spend their first pick last year on Nick Bonito, and there, you could always take a step forward, but there's no assurance that that's going to happen whatsoever. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that it's not like the Chiefs were just done with him.
No,
it's not like they were like it had run its course. Like, I think they were trying to get him back, and so by doing this, you add to your edge rushing depth, and you also take away from a division rivals.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if we got Austin Eckler from the Chargers.
Yeah.
And
no one from the Raiders.
Yeah. We actually just give the Raiders somebody.
Yeah. You guys can have you can have Dalton Reisner.
Poor Dalton.
Yeah, he's still out there.
He's still out there. Yeah, I think it was Mike Kliss was trying to hype up the Dalton Reisner free agency market. It was like a lot of interest in teams inquiring about Dalton Reisner. Market's heating up.
Must have owed his agent a favor.
What's that?
Must have owed his agent a favor.
Yeah, must have. And I was like, I hope Reisner lands somewhere, because
I do too. Yeah,
he's a good dude. He obviously had one really good season. But I was like, if his market was heating up, he would be he'd be on a team.
Yeah, it's June.
Yeah, it's the market is gone. It's teams are going to fill some needs as injuries pop up, and that's kind of what happened.
Yep.
And Frank Clark's like sack numbers the last couple years, I think it was like 6, 5, 4.5. But he's never had like crazy regular season sack numbers. I
mean, his best season is the postseason.
It's crazy. He's like a weird. He's an outlier in that position.
13.5 sacks, like I said, third most in playoff history.
Yeah, he's 2.5 away from tying Willie McGinnis for the most postseason sacks. McGinnis having that record kind of surprised me too.
I would have thought, like right off the bat, I would have said Charles Haley.
Oh yeah, that's good.
So many.
Maybe Bruce Smith too. Like
Bruce Smith, Reggie White. Yeah, Reggie White had 3 in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I thought Von Miller would have been higher too.
Yeah,
he's got like 10.5 sacks.
Just didn't play for a long time.
Just we forget the Broncos really screwed him there after they, he had the tear in 2015.
He might have the most sacks per game.
Well, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, but I putting like my personal thoughts about Clark aside, I think this is a really good move for the Broncos. I think like they're not overspending for him, and I think like he plays too. It's like I was looking at the game started. I think it was like 15-14-15. Well, Will's frozen as fuck. Oh my god. Unfreeze, Will. I was trying to talk through Will being frozen and thinking he would unfreeze, but he might just have to come back in. Na, 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 na. Still waiting for Will to come back. His internet died. Okay, well, I've been waiting for 5 minutes now. Will still has not returned, so I don't know if he's coming back. But while we wait to see if Will does return, I'm posting a short later on That's Good Sports, and I saw this thing about Josh Allen and his Madden stats from last year, and they were just ridiculous. So I'm going to play that short in here now while we wait and see if Will return. These Josh Allen Madden stats will blow your mind. Allen was recently announced as the Madden 24 cover boy. Now, I do sympathize when fans get upset that it's not their guy on the cover, like Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, or quite honestly, Justin Tucker. Last year, though, Josh Allen was literally the most used player across all Madden 23 modes. I found that slightly surprising, considering the only player I used was star of the Denver Broncos, Latavius Murray. What blew my mind, though, was seeing Matt Perino post Allen's cumulative stats as a Madden QB. Last year, as a video game quarterback, he had 168.7 million passing touchdowns, 12.9 million rushing touchdowns, 19.5 billion passing yards, and 1 billion rushing yards. I guess he is a cheat code.
I don't get blown away too often, but that's one of those things I was like, that was freaking cool.
And none of those numbers topped the 50 billion times I heard the words "let's ride" in real life last year. Will's still not here. Will return. Will return.
There we go. Jesus Christ. It said my computer, it just shut off and like restarted.
Hey, look, Will magically returned. Good.
Technical difficulties.
I only waited 10 minutes, but Will did some troubleshooting on his end, and we are back.
Sure did. We're back like we never left.
That's
like
right.
I never left.
Like Will never left us. What's your overall like evaluation of this before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like it. I like it as a just a random June pickup. I certainly wasn't expecting it, as you know, as you already said, and it makes me just feel better about the depth, the floor of the defense. He's a pretty durable guy.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were saying, I think, before you left, and then I tried to keep talking because you were frozen. And I
Yeah.
thought you would unfreeze, but
No.
he plays. Maybe, I think I said like he's a mixed bag, and some of the Chiefs fans in the comments were like, that's the best way to describe him, is a mixed bag. But 15, 14, and like 15 starts over the last few seasons. And one of the issues for the Broncos has been health just everywhere. So yeah, that's less of a concern for sure moving forward with Frank Clark. I think I would probably feel a little bit better if Ejiro Evero was still the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's kind of like something that's been lost, is maybe like what's the defense going to be now? So we'll see.
With Vance Joseph.
Yeah. With Vance.
And I mean, you wonder too, like when Dalvin Cook got released and Adam Schefter dropped our name, I think along with one other team as a potential suitor, you kind of wonder, like, how would they be able to get Dalvin Cook done as well, given the Frank Clark signing?
Yeah, it kind of felt like a either or situation.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Frank Clark was an or.
Right.
But yeah, I don't even know where they're at with cap space right now.
Right. And I mean, they can always move stuff around, but like,
yeah,
you would rather have a good edge rusher than a good running back.
Yes. And okay, so right now they currently have like 10 mil in cap space.
Okay.
Part of that, the McManus release freed up like $3.5 million. So I wouldn't say like Dalvin Cook's out of the question, but yeah, if you're picking one or the other. Also, I think edge was still a bigger need. They have Samaje Perine until Javonte Williams is ready to go.
She might just be ready.
Yeah. Javonte could be on that godlike knee healing pace.
Yeah.
But, after those two, it's what? Tony Jones, Tyler Beatty, Jaleel McLaughlin. So Dalvin Cook would be, that would, if the Broncos sign Cook next, I'm going to start to get excited again.
Yeah. I mean, that would be very much a sign that they're going all in on this season.
They would be the Denver Nuggets of football, really.
Yeah. When you think about it, exactly like them. Game 4 tonight.
Yeah. Game 4 tonight. I don't think I'll be streaming tonight. I would love to, but we got some stuff going on. So I dropped elbow. Carmi gave me this to I was going down to work, and she's like, "Here, Daddy, let me give you a toy to take down with you."
That was nice of her.
Yeah, it was adorable. Game 4, Nuggets just destroyed the Heat in Game 3. I expect another win tonight, honestly.
I think I got to keep picking the Heat.
Don't be stupid.
I think, it worked, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. You know what I've learned so much about sports coverage is...
What's that?
You really got to pick and choose where you're going to find your knowledgeable people talking about like teams and picking. And it felt like because the Heat won the most recent game, everyone just picked it again. And since the Nuggets just won, I'm sure everyone's going to pick the Nuggets to win again. And then Stephen A. Smith was talking about the Nuggets. He was talking about Jokic not being able to post up or some shit.
Yeah. JJ Redick just completely, took that apart.
Yeah. And like, I get it. Like when you're at Stephen A's level, you're expected to talk about everything all the time.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do.
We're talking Hunter Henry.
Yeah. like all he does is just list the names of guys, so it
Yeah.
looks like he knows what he's talking about. And that
Classic
famous
sports
Chargers
talk
example
radio.
was
Yeah,
he wasn't even listing the names correctly.
not even active players.
Yeah, and I know that because I've done it before when like talking about like a Broncos matchup against a team I haven't really watched. It's like you just name a bunch of players from the defense, and you're like, yeah, they're pretty good, and it's why like we kind of start doing less and less of that. But when it's the finals, when it's just two teams, when a big part of what you do is talk about basketball,
You should know them inside and out.
Yeah, or at least like talk to somebody to give you that info.
Yeah.
There's probably a comfort level though when you get to that spot. Although I don't think you should have that comfort level at ESPN anymore. Like, they're fucking canning people left and right.
Neil Everett's gone. I thought he would have been safe.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I think like
forever.
Steve Young's probably out. They're talking about Susie Colbert's job's not safe. Like
Jesus
all sorts of
Christ.
It ain't easy up there.
They're gonna whack Berman next
again.
Yeah, I guess. I thought he retired.
Then relegated to ESPN Plus. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Blasphemous.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. Know your shit. Just know your shit. Because
when a team's number one in their conference the entire year, you should pay attention to them and know their game.
Yeah.
If that's your job.
It is.
I don't know.
Fair. And like part of just in general with sports is, teams that are good are going to get more attention. People are going to know more about the good teams.
Right.
So I understand like, especially as somebody who is in Denver, who can't even watch the Nuggets games because of the cable provider I have. I understand people not being familiar with the team heading into the playoffs. But when they're a first place team heading into the playoffs and you continue to be ignorant about their identity as a team, about knowing anything about them, that kind of sucks. But I still get it because like who cares who's going to get to the finals? That's all we should care about. Once those teams get to the finals, know them. The flip side of that is the Nuggets are now making people know who they are. And if they win this finals, it's going to do a lot for Jokic. It's going to do a lot for the team. They will be taken seriously heading into next season. They will.
Yeah, I hope so.
And if they make like a deep run in the next playoffs, or God forbid, win it back to back, one
at a time.
And we talked a little bit about this. I think they're going to turn into the team that they're not going to. I still don't think they're going to get the respect from national basketball media outside of like the people who really care about the game. They'll turn into the team that people hate because they're good.
Yeah, though I think you brought up the Spurs last time
when
we watched the game. I think that's a good comparison. But yeah, I mean, they'll always find a way to put an asterisk on everything. They'll be like, oh, they didn't have to go through the Warriors. They didn't have to go through last year's champs, so it's not a real title.
Yeah.
LeBron's old. You got LeBron when he's, falling apart. It's not a real conference finals. Minnesota in the first round.
Who would they have needed to play outside of the Warriors who weren't as good this season? Like, who could have the Nuggets have played that people would have respected the victory against? Like,
I don't know, the Celtics maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
The 96 Bulls.
Yeah, do they need they need to play the dream team to shut everybody up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch. I've also just learned to accept like the ebbs and flows of the officiating through a game.
Yep, and through a series.
Yeah, it's like one game might be bad, but like the other thing too about bad NBA officiating that noticed, and I think it's been better in the finals, but it's like it's through the course of a game, it makes an impact. But unlike the NFL, like on a play-to-play call, it's really not that big of a deal, right? Like you're
Yeah,
sending a guy to a free throw line, and
there's no such thing as a like 50-yard DPI.
yeah, or like a roughing the passer on 3rd and 18. That's like the defense played perfectly, and maybe a guy ran into the quarterback a little too tough. So it's like you can bounce back from a bad call, I think, more quickly in the NBA. And then what the other thing I've loved about like observing basketball Twitter is just how everybody sees the game through their team's lens, through their narrative, where it's like Nuggets fans, it's the they're the underdogs, they don't get the calls. The Lakers, like it's like, oh, this is a team that's mastered flopping. And then like people watching the Nuggets in frustration, Jokic isn't getting called for elbowing people. Jokic flops harder than anyone. It's like, it's just all diluted. It's all fun.
NBA, like NBA Twitter and NBA discourse is got to be the worst.
Yeah, it's
just the worst.
I think it's because like the games happen so frequently too, so it like flares back up so much. Like in the NFL, you get a week between your games. The narrative sort of shifts to something else by the time you're back in it. But
yeah, and like NBA fans generally, like speaking for myself, like in the regular season, I'm really only watching my team because there's so many games. Whereas NFL, I'm watching every game.
That's fair too. And maybe that's, I don't know, both ways. Like it's harder to maybe follow multiple teams because there are so many games, but there's also more opportunities to learn about more teams.
Right.
If you're covering the NBA.
Well, if you're covering, you should find the time.
But like, we should do a video that is just reading every ridiculous Jokic fact or stat at this point. I saw a tweet too about, and I didn't know this. It's like a story about Jokic saying the only person he fears is his brother.
Oh, because the knives thing.
Yeah,
yeah, I saw that.
Insane. He wouldn't climb a tree, and so his brother threw knives at him.
Yeah.
And then I watched this
only in
Jamal
Serbia.
Murray. What's that?
Only in Serbia.
Yeah, no shit. That's like why like he doesn't get phased throughout the course of the game.
Doesn't care.
No, your brother ever throw knives at you? And then Jamal Murray was talking about his dad training him with pain tolerance.
Hot teacups
on his legs when he's squatting, picking up leaves in the winter without gloves on his hands.
I think that's actually just child abuse.
Yeah. It's like
made him into a great basketball player.
Yeah. It like, I don't know. They're an interesting team, and they both, Jokic and Murray, first duo to have the 30-20-10 triple doubles in the postseason. We watched that game and we didn't even like notice that during it.
I think it took a while for Murray to get his 10th assist.
Yeah.
There's 10th rebounder, one of them.
Yeah, it came like 5 minutes after Jokic hit it, but that's like, and maybe that's kind of what is, I don't want to say the problem with the Nuggets is the game it's like done so efficiently that it's not these huge flashy plays over and over again. It's just kind of chipping away at shit, especially for Jokic. But he doesn't have enough. He needs more one-footed 3-point shots.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for Game 4. At least
and more dunks. He doesn't dunk enough.
Yeah, he needs a 360 reverse dunk in traffic. Yeah. I think that'll finally get people to respect him if it wasn't the two MVPs.
No, exactly. But yeah, I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, same.
The other thing I think I've learned about myself, and that's really what this podcast is for, is because watching the Avalanche last postseason was fun, and I'm like, hockey's just a really good sport. But watching like the Nuggets, and I think hockey is it's the best sport in terms of just being impressed with what guys do on ice.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. I like basketball more than watching hockey.
I do too. It would help if I kind of grew up in like a hockey culture.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it, and understanding the game better, which I still don't understand it perfectly.
No, I agree.
Yeah, Sacramento's actually on NHL watch now.
Ooh, for getting a franchise?
We're on the list. Right. Yeah. That'd be cool.
That would be very cool. But basketball is more fun. I think it's easier too because, it's the action's just as quick, but there's more scoring, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because like the players don't have helmets and uniforms on. You see them. Yeah, you do get to know them. I don't know. I find myself wanting to watch basketball more than I found myself wanting to watch hockey last year. And it makes me like want to pay to watch the Nuggets this next season, and not like I'm gonna watch every game.
You'd have to do League Pass.
No, I can't. I don't even think you can do League Pass. I think you got to get. I forget. There's a certain.
Oh right, they'd black it out.
Yeah, there's some shit. Maybe League Pass would do it. I don't know. I gotta look into it.
I don't think they would. I think because you're in the area.
Yeah, it's just more fun. But anyway, Frank Clark, great signing for the Broncos.
Frank Clark, probably. That's what we were talking about.
Okay, thanks for joining me, Will.
Yep, anytime.
We'll be back next week when the Broncos sign Dale Carter again from the Chiefs.
Robert Traylor.
I don't remember him.
Keith Traylor. Robert Traylor's a basketball player. Damn.
Wow.
Get my wires crossed.
Was Keith Traylor a Chief before he was a Bronco?
Maybe.
Oh my God.
Or maybe he was after. I don't know.
Keith.
Could be totally wrong.
Man, I loved Keith Traylor. Let's see here. Keith Traylor, like an all-time big man.
Yep.
337 pounds, but just 6'2". He was round. No, he started his career in Denver.
Oh, okay.
Denver, then he went to Green Bay, then Kansas City, then back to Denver. Okay. Wow.
It's partially correct.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We'll hopefully be back next week talking about the Nuggets as world champions.
That's right.
All right. Bye.
ACL.
Good night. Good luck.